NBA trade deadline has come, has gone, has left. And as always, it was exciting. Good times. Good times, good times, good times. Lots of deals made, lots of moves made. It's always fun. The NBA trade deadline, the best, one of the best, if not the best, before the trade line, it's always good in the NBA. And especially when there are a lot of moves and a lot of deals and a lot of things happening, right? That's when it's always fun. And so we saw today or yesterday, well, this morning, 1:15 this morning, I saw on ESPN.com. Actually, I saw it early this morning. Woke up this morning. The Phoenix Suns have sent Kevin Durant to the Brooklyn Nets for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. I'm sorry, other way around. The Nets have sent Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and 4 first-round picks and a 2028 pick swap. I mean, clearly the Suns are all in, and they have to be all in because you got Chris Paul, who's near the end. You got Devin Booker, who's in his prime, and you got Kevin Durant. The Suns had to be all in. And the way they were presently constructed, whether if they stayed pat with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and everybody else minus Kevin Durant, they probably don't get to the NBA Finals. Now, Kevin Durant, if he's healthy, if he's right, if he's 100%, if he's playing some big-time basketball, the Phoenix Suns can easily go to the NBA Finals and possibly win an NBA title with the addition of Kevin Durant. I mean, this is a big-time move and a big-time acquisition. It's rare that a guy like Kevin Durant becomes available the way Kevin Durant became available. And the Brooklyn Nets, they came together with Durant, with Harden, with Irving, and it just never turned out into anything. It didn't turn out into anything. Turned out to one playoff series they won together. That's it. So you figure when Durant, when Kyrie, when Harden got together, you're thinking, man, this is at least one chip, right? This is at least an NBA Finals berth. This is at least an Eastern Conference Finals berth. And we got none of that. We got one series win. One, that's it. One series win. All that, and you got one series win. That's all you got to show for it is one series win for the combination of Durant, the combination of Kyrie, and James Harden. And now they're all in separate places. Harden in Philly, Kyrie in Dallas, and now Durant in Phoenix. So all these guys came together. And you could argue if Kyrie doesn't mess up his ankle against the Bucks, and if James Harden doesn't have the hamstring issue, the Brooklyn Nets get to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly the NBA Finals that particular year. Remember, and then Kevin Durant and his big foot stepped on the line, and because his big foot stepped on the line, that really cost the Brooklyn Nets, and that was the closest they got to possibly making a deep playoff run. From there, it's been all downhill. Ultimately, Harden was traded. Ultimately, to Philly last year at the trade deadline, they got Ben Simmons, and there was some excitement. Okay, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant together. That was supposed to be an exciting combination, right? Ben Simmons said it was going to be scary to get Kyrie together, to get Durant together, to get Ben Simmons together. It was going to be scary. And it turns out it was a dud. It was an absolute dud. Ben Simmons didn't play at all last year, and Ben Simmons seems to be a shell of himself this season. He's just not the same guy. The guy I see, Ben Simmons, who I watched in Philadelphia night in and night out, he ain't that guy no more. For whatever reason. And maybe it's, he didn't play all of last season. Maybe there's some rust. Or the confidence just not there. Like Ben Simmons used to play downhill, just had a little bit more confidence, swagger about himself. He was never a big-time finisher at all in his career, but, he was obviously 17 points a game at one point, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, an elite defender. I mean, Ben Simmons was all that. But now Ben Simmons is none of that. But you can argue now he has an opportunity. The ball's going to be in his hand. He's going to be the point guard for that team. So he's going to have the ball in his hand, and maybe he can get that confidence back. Right? Him and Cam Thomas and those boys out there in Brooklyn. Brooklyn getting a Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Getting some more picks always helps in your rebuild or retooling, if you will, to get Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie. It's not all garbage time in Brooklyn, and they are the 5th seed at this point in the Eastern Conference. But clearly, they are not the championship caliber team that they were, say a couple days ago, a few days ago, when they had Kyrie and when they had Kevin Durant. They were a championship caliber team. The Brooklyn Nets were a championship caliber team, and they stacked up against anybody in the East with Kevin Durant, with Kyrie on that roster. Now, it's different. It's different. And in terms of Brooklyn being a contender in the East, well, you can officially scrap them now. You can get rid of the Brooklyn Nets in terms of them being contenders. They are no longer contenders at this moment, at this point, at this time. It's just that simple. They are no longer contenders. It's it. It's done. And it's crazy because, again, you would have never have figured that out back in 2020 when Kyrie and James Harden and Kevin Durant came together. And even this, like I said, coming into this year, right? When Kyrie opted in and Kevin Durant at one point said he wanted to be traded, then he said, changed his mind and, he decided he was all in. And again, they were winning basketball games. They were having success. And then Kevin Durant goes down and Kyrie ultimately requests a trade. Ultimately, Kyrie gets traded to the Mavericks. And then a few days later, Kevin Durant gets traded to the Phoenix Suns. So just like that, it was quick. It was quick. And all that and just the ultimate disappointment, that big three, if you will, of Kyrie and Kevin Durant. And we throw that big three thing out a little too much probably. But, that combination of Durant and Harden was supposed to get more than just one series win. It was supposed to get more than that. It had to get more than that. And it did. Now, the pressure is on the Phoenix Suns, right? The pressure is on CP3 and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Kevin Durant. The pressure is on those guys to win an NBA title. The pressure is on those guys to have success at a high level. The pressure is on. It is on the Phoenix Suns. Anything short of an NBA title would be a disappointment for the Phoenix Suns at this point, at this moment, at this time. Anything short of an NBA title is a disappointment. If they don't get an NBA title, it is a disappointment. If Kevin Durant and Chris Paul and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton can't get an NBA title for the Phoenix Suns, can't bring a chip to Phoenix, that is going to be crazy and unacceptable in many of ways. It would be unacceptable if Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and those boys, Devin Booker, don't get it done. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's why you play the game. But Kevin Durant expects to be back at some point after the All-Star break. So you got to get him back healthy, right? Once he's back healthy and ready to go, that's a plus. Devin Booker was out for a period of time. He's back, ready to go, healthy, right? You got to keep CP3 healthy, right? And you got to keep this thing moving. But the Phoenix Suns upgraded their roster. They're all in. They swung for the fences, and they connected and got themselves Kevin Durant. And now let's see where this goes. Well, let's see how this goes. Let's see if this will equate to an NBA title, because it has to. You can't add a Kevin Durant, maybe one of the best players in this league. You can't have a Devin Booker, maybe one of the better shooting guards in this league. You can't have a DeAndre Ayton, one of the better centers in this league. You can't have a CP3. Though CP3 is not who he once was, is still that guy. Still an elite, still a very good point guard in this league. And you knew the moment CP3 signed that contract with the Phoenix Suns that at some point he would be overpaid because he wouldn't keep up the same level. Because clearly he can't keep up that same level. Injuries have beat up CP3 over the years. And he's not that guy, but he's good enough. He's good enough. Or what you have with Booker and Kevin Durant, he's good enough. What you have with DeAndre Ayton, he's good enough to win an NBA title. And it should be interesting what this looks like in the new look Western Conference. Dallas Mavericks, who made it to the Western Conference Finals last season, add a Kyrie Irving. We'll see what that looks like with Luka Doncic. Obviously, the Denver Nuggets, still one of the better basketball teams in this league. And they're big time. They're playing some big time basketball. So we'll see what happens there. But a lot of things, can happen in these next few weeks. But you still look at these teams and you look at the West at this point. Phoenix is 5, and you got to figure they're going to be up there. I don't want to dismiss or discount the Los Angeles Clippers. You still got Paul George. You still got Kawhi Leonard, right? They did have Bones Highland during the trade deadline. So I don't want to dismiss the Los Angeles Clippers. But so the West is going to be tough and it's going to be interesting. But I think you got to say the Phoenix Suns are the favorite. The Phoenix Suns have to be the favorite at this point, at this moment, at this time, after the acquisition of Kevin Durant, KD, right? They have to be the favorite to get to the NBA Finals. Don't sleep on the Warriors. Obviously, they're still a championship caliber team. They're a team that won a title last season. They're still championship caliber. But man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Credit to the Phoenix Suns for swinging for the fences and connecting and getting Kevin Durant. We always connected Durant to the Phoenix Suns. Even in the offseason, the Phoenix Suns was a team that who we heard were going to be in the mix for Kevin Durant. And ultimately it happened. It eventually happened. It took some time. It didn't happen in the offseason like many thought it could. It ended up happening right before the trade deadline, late last night, early Thursday morning, around 1 o'clock. ESPN had something up on Kevin Durant and Woj, and sources telling Woj that Kevin Durant is on his way to Brooklyn. Wow. To Phoenix. Wow. Unreal. Unbelievable what happens in the NBA, how quickly things change and how quickly the league goes from, who's the favorite. The favorites changed. The Phoenix Suns, again, I didn't think the Phoenix Suns were a team that, the way they were playing, the way they were trending, that could win an NBA title. I didn't see that from the Suns. I didn't see that at all. What I saw was a team that, still was good, but wasn't championship caliber. I didn't think the Suns were championship caliber, and I was saying to myself, you know what? Phoenix may have shot their load, right, when they had that situation when they made it to the finals in 2020, and, during that particular season, that 2020 season, Phoenix, 2 games up on the Milwaukee Bucks, had a 2-0 series lead against the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals, and they blew it. They lost the next 4 games. And then ultimately they lost in the NBA Finals. So, look, the Phoenix Suns have to get it done now. And they know that. Monty Williams knows that. James Jones knows that. Devin Booker knows that. Kevin Durant knows that. And here's the reality. You still got Durant under contract for the next 3 years. You still got Chris Paul under contract and Booker as well. So you are safe in terms of your core. And then DeAndre Ayton as well is all locked up and locked down. So your core is together. Your core is good. Your core is locked up and locked down, right? So they're in good shape. In terms of the Phoenix Suns, right? And then we'll see what happens. Booker's contract comes up at the end of next season. So they're straight. They're locked up. Everybody's good. And so they can make a run for the next few years, next 2-3 years with this core of Ayton, Booker, Paul, and Kevin Durant. And that's a good core to have. And that's a good situation if you're Monty Williams in the Phoenix Suns. If you're James Jones in the Phoenix Suns, you're happy. You're good, right? You're good with everything that is happening right now with the Phoenix Suns. Like, the Phoenix Suns are in perfect spot, perfect position. And now they gotta do it. They gotta get the job done. They get another shot at it because, again, I thought 2020 was it, right? I thought that was it. I thought that was obviously their best shot. But now, they might have a better shot now. They might, here's the thing. when you're up 2-0 in a series, I mean, you should win it. And so that was their shot in 2020. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So they get another shot at it. They can do it again, and we'll see if they can do it. They should be able to do it. The talent is there. I mean, clearly, Devin Booker's an all-star caliber player, right? Kevin Durant's an all-star caliber player. They're all all-star caliber players on this team. Your core four, if you will, right? Maybe not CP3 in terms of an all-star caliber player at this point. But again, this team has the talent. They got to get it done. They got to get it done. The pressure has now magnified in Phoenix. Their new owner's there. He came in. He's all in. They're all in to win an NBA title. And so they got to get it done. They have no choice. The Warriors will be tough. Yes, the Warriors will be a tough basketball team. Right? The Denver Nuggets won't be easy. They won't be easy at all. The Memphis Grizzlies, even though they're struggling of late, they'll be there. Dallas Mavericks, interesting team with the addition of Kyrie Irving. That should be interesting. That should be interesting to see Kyrie and Luka together. I mean, Luka was a guy who took a lot of shots. His usage rate was crazy. It was off the charts, right? He had to do a lot for the Dallas Mavericks to win. And traditionally, when he don't play, the Dallas Mavericks have issues. They don't win. When Luka's not there, they don't win. And they won the last two nights without Luka. They won yesterday with Kyrie Irving making his debut against the Clippers, and a couple days ago without Luka or Kyrie or anybody at that point. They won that game against the Utah Jazz in Utah. So the Dallas Mavericks are an interesting bunch. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. It's interesting to see how this match is with Kyrie and Luka. There's not too many better scorers than Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in terms of the NBA. There's not too many scorers, too many guys that can score the basketball like those two guys. There's not too many prolific scorers like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And those guys are big time, and we'll see how that meshes in Dallas. I mean, look, I think it's a win-win deal for the Dallas Mavericks in a lot of ways. Look, if it don't work out, you still have close to max salary cap space where you can possibly add a free agent. So I think it's a win-win situation. And if Kyrie comes in and he's a good soldier and he does everything he has to do, the Dallas Mavericks, can come back and say, you know what, we want him here. Kyrie wants to be here. It's a match. It's a good situation. Let's make this work for years to come. So look, the Dallas Mavericks have an opportunity. But, it seemed like, here's the thing. It seemed like the door opened a little bit for the Mavericks in the West. And then Kevin Durant came over and it's like, maybe it shuts a little bit. Maybe it shuts a little bit. But look, the playoffs are going to be fun in both conferences. The playoffs are going to be a lot of fun in both conferences. Like you look at the top six in the West. Denver's tough. Grizzlies, like I said, struggled a little bit of late, but they're tough. The Kings have been solid. The Mavericks added Kyrie Irving. The Suns have added Kevin Durant. The Clippers added a Bones Highland, right? So they've been very active at the trade deadline. And so, look, the Western Conference is going to be so much fun. Lock up, lock down, and lock on in. Get just, because it's going to be fun these next few games, right? To see how the Suns mesh and come together, to see how Kyrie and Luka mesh and come together. Like, that's going to be fun, and that's going to be interesting, right? Kyrie and Kevin Durant were boys. They came together, and they're like, yo, we're going to win chips in Brooklyn. We're going to do big-time things in Brooklyn. We're going to, do it big in Brooklyn. And then 2020 happened, and they said, you know what? Look, we got an opportunity to get James Harden. So now we're going to do it even bigger with Kyrie, with James Harden, with Kevin Durant. We're going to do it bigger, even bigger. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's see how this thing works. And then ultimately they get to the playoffs, and Kevin Durant, and they win a round, and they get to the second round, and Kyrie messes up his ankle. He's out for the playoffs. James Harden, hamstring, wasn't healthy. They lose to the Bucks in Game 7. Kevin Durant's foot's on the line, and that's it. It's done. It's a wrap for the Brooklyn Nets. That was the best it got for the Brooklyn Nets. Then the following year, ultimately you got James Harden was traded away from Philly. Again, Kevin Durant and Kyrie and Ben Simmons were together. Kyrie wouldn't take the vaccine. New York City vaccine mandate said Kyrie couldn't play, right? He couldn't play in New York City. The Nets were like, you know what? We're going to shut him down. Ultimately, they decided he could play on the road. And then ultimately, the vaccine mandates were lifted. Kyrie Irving was together with Kevin Durant, but Ben Simmons never got on the court because of back, because of mental issues. And then again, they get swept in the first round by the Boston Celtics. It wasn't pretty. It was an easy series for the Boston Celtics. And again, you're like, okay, we'll see what happens next year, because it still could be scary with Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving together. Ben Simmons is an elite defender. Ben Simmons, three-time All-Star. Ben Simmons has done things in this league. He don't shoot, but he's done a lot of other things in this league. And then ultimately they come together and this year, and okay, Kevin Durant requests a trade, changes his mind, says he's all in. Kyrie Irving comes on in, opts into his deal. He's good there. And then, they're rolling along. Kyrie gets suspended for a few games for retweeting a film. And then ultimately, he comes back. The Brooklyn Nets go on a little run. And then ultimately, you're thinking, okay, the Nets are championship caliber. A few weeks later, Kyrie says, you know what? I want to trade. He's off to Dallas, right? A few days after that, Kevin Durant, he's off to Phoenix. And now the Brooklyn Nets, who were contenders, now become pretenders and now go right down the standings in the Eastern Conference. They're going to plummet. Just give it some time, right? They got back some solid players in Brooklyn, but it's nothing that makes them championship caliber. So things are going to change in Brooklyn. It's just that simple. And things are going to change in Phoenix. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. When you add a Kevin Durant to your roster, you're about winning championships at that moment, at that point, at that time. When you look at how when Kevin Durant went from OKC to Golden State, they were about championships. When Kevin Durant went from Golden State to Brooklyn, the thought was, let's try to win championships. When Kevin Durant now is in Phoenix, the thought will be, until he's done, let's win NBA titles, let's win championships, let's try to get the job done, let's do it. That's simple. It's that simple. And then you look at the East. The East, watching the Celtics and the Sixers last night, I said to myself, Boston is deep. Jaylen Brown wasn't there. Marcus Smart wasn't there. That's a deep basketball team in Boston. They're going to be there in the East. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks, adding a Jay Crowder during the trade deadline. They're going to be there. Pretty simple. The Bucks will be there. The Sixers, with James Harden, Joel Embiid, they will be there, right? I'm not saying they're I don't know. If you look at those top three teams in the East, you're probably saying Celtics, Bucks, and the Sixers. At that point, you got the Cavaliers. They're going to be around. That's a tough team. That's a talented roster. That's a team that's going to give some teams some trouble. That's a team that at this point, if you look at the Cavaliers, currently they're in the 4th spot. The Brooklyn Nets are in the 5th spot. You expect Brooklyn to plummet maybe a little bit. So it appears, if I'm looking at the standings right now, that the Cavaliers probably play the Miami Heat in the first round. It's just all looking at the standings and just looking at it and seeing what's going to happen. But again, you look at those standings in the Eastern Conference and you're like, okay, Brooklyn is at 5. They probably drop. Do you think they get below the 6th spot? They might be good enough to stay among the top 6. They might be good enough to stay among the top 6, but they're not going to be at 5. I think the Heat will catch them at 5. So the Cavaliers probably will play the Heat in the first round with home court advantage. That's going to be a tough series for the Cavaliers, so we'll see what that looks like for them. But you look at all the other matchups in the East, it's going to be fun, right? The top 4 teams, if you look at the East, let's look at these. 10 teams right now in the playoffs. Obviously, the 4 teams in the play-in tournament. But you look at Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, Cleveland. Those are the the elite teams in the East, and those are the 4 teams who have an opportunity in some way, shape, or form to get to the NBA Finals. Some more than others, but again, those teams have an opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals. They have an opportunity. So we'll see what happens there. The Atlanta Hawks, I think the Hawks will shock after the All-Star. Look, the talent is there in Atlanta. The talent is there with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. You got Murray. You got John Collins, and they were looking to move John Collins. That never came to fruition. That never happened. But I don't know. The Atlanta Hawks, here's the thing. Interesting about the Hawks. You talk about the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm thinking about it. If you remember, this is many moons ago. Back in 2001, the Toronto Raptors took the Philadelphia 76ers to 7 games. And then the following year, they re-signed Alvin Williams, Antonio Davis, Junkyard Dog, Jerome Williams. They re-signed all those guys, and they never really was the same. You look at the Atlanta Hawks. Remember, they get to the NBA, they get to Eastern Conference Finals, and they give John Collins a bunch of money, right? And it's like, and it never really materialized. The magic that they had that particular season in 2020 did not and was not the same the following year. So I look at the Hawks and I'm saying, well, there's talent, but I don't think it's championship caliber talent at this moment, at this point, at this time. So I could be wrong. But I don't think so. But I think, again, the East, you look at the East, top 4 teams, Celtics, Bucks, 76ers, Cavs. Those are the 4 teams that have an opportunity to win an NBA title in the East. And again, like I said before, some more than others. I think the Celtics and the Bucks have the best opportunity in the East to win the NBA title. I think the Sixers, as much as I would like to see them make a deep playoff run, I see another 6-round exit for them, a 2nd-round exit, I should say, for this particular team. If you look at it, they would play, at this point, they play the Heat in the 1st round. I think they could buy the Heat. But if we look at the way the standings are presently constructed, they'll play the Bucks in the 2nd round, and that won't be easy. So, again, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But here's one thing I know for sure. One thing I know for certain. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be some great action in these NBA players. Look at the West. You look at the top teams in the West, right? And the Pelicans are the 7th seed, but, at some point they're going to get Zion back. That's going to change things. The Golden State Warriors, at some point, you think they're going to make a push, but they, the way things are looking, they might just end up staying in that 9th spot or in that play-in tournament situation. Look, the Warriors are a talented team. Clearly, they're a talented team. They won the NBA title last season, right? There's talent on that roster, but they don't have that look. They don't have the look that they had last year. They just don't, and they never had this particular season. Injuries have been a part of that, but again, they don't look like they're going to do anything and make a run this season, but they're going to be a tough out. You don't want to see the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs because you got Steph, you got Klay, you got Draymond, you got Andrew Wiggins, you got Poole, you got guys who have won in this league. And of course, Klay, Steph, and Dre have won multiple times in this league. So you got that. But again, they don't look the part. And again, the Suns and Suns, there's 56 games, 26 games left for the Phoenix Suns. So they got 26 regular season games to get the chemistry right between Durant with Paul. And again, here's the thing. Durant's not coming back till after All-Star break, so you don't know. That's going to obviously give him less time to get this thing meshed together, get this thing come together the right way, and get them, effective together, get that chemistry good, and get that chemistry right. That might take some time. That might not happen. And so you look at that situation, right? You're at like Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges were big-time rotational players. They were starters for the Phoenix Suns, right? And each of them had prominent roles for the Phoenix Suns. So now you're taking that out. You're adding Kevin Durant, which is an upgrade on paper, but chemistry matters. Chemistry is important. So they got to get that chemistry right. You got to make sure the chemistry is good. And that takes some time. And look, the Brooklyn Nets, we thought, again, you put Durant and Kyrie together along with Harden, and you said, you know what, that's going to turn into something special. Didn't happen. You remember the big three with LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade that came together. That first year they got to the final, but they didn't win. So sometimes it takes time. You don't necessarily get it off the jump. You don't get it right away. Sometimes you're fortunate you get it, the chemistry works, everything gels, and you go boom. And then sometimes it doesn't, not right away. But I'm looking at the Suns and I'm thinking, you want to get this done sooner than later, right? You want to make your move sooner than later, and you want to make a run sooner than later. And so we'll see if the Suns can do that and make a run. But again, chemistry. Look, Kevin Durant's going to come back, but it's a matter of when he's coming back. And again, you're going to need that time to gel. You're going to need that time to mesh. 26 regular season games left for the Phoenix Suns. So, again, in Kevin Durant, we don't know when he's going to come back. It's after All-Star break. So, he might have 15 to 20 games to play with this team and to mesh with these guys and get that chemistry going and get that chemistry right, getting that chemistry together, right? So, it's not going to be simple. It's not going to be as easy as throw Kevin Durant on the court and boom, you got an NBA title. Don't work that way. And again, like I said before, when Wade, Bosh, and LeBron James got together, it didn't happen right away. It got to the NBA Finals, but they didn't win it right away. It takes time. And even when those guys you remember that year, they got together, right? They struggled a little bit in the beginning, and then they took off. But ultimately, they lost in the NBA Finals to the Dallas Mavericks. So it takes time. So let's not assume that Durant, the moment he slaps on that jersey, lace up his sneakers and does all that, let's not assume that he and the Phoenix Suns are just going to go boom and NBA title. No, it don't work that way. That would be nice. That would be cool. That would be great. That would be something you want to see happen, but it doesn't always work out that way in the NBA. Look, if I would have told you that James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving would have won only one playoff series when they got together, you would have told me I was crazy. And yes, if I would have said at the time, I probably would have felt crazy. And if I would have thought that way at the time, right, I would think, man, what's wrong with me? I need help. But ultimately, that's what happened. That's what transpired. That's what went down. You can blame a lot of people. You can blame Kyrie if you want. That's an easy one. He has to take some blame for sure. James Harden wasn't really in the greatest of shape, so he's got to take some blame for sure. But at the end, and the Brooklyn Nets organization hiring a neophyte like Steve Nash as head coach, right? That may have been a mistake. Steve Nash has never coached in this league. Obviously an elite point guard in this league. Obviously a Hall of Famer. But you put him in that environment, in that situation, right? When that team, it's not like Steve Nash could just ease into that job. No, you're in New York City. You can't ease into that job. And the pressure and the level of what's expected is high. It's high, right? Those expectations were high for the Brooklyn Nets. And they just could not get the job done with those high expectations. You can blame a lot of people. You can blame Steve Nash if you want. You can blame Sean Marks. You can blame Joe Tsai. You can blame a lot of people in our organization for why this thing didn't happen, right? I'm a big Kyrie guy. I think Kyrie's a good dude. Kyrie makes some mistakes. He does some things that are baffling, but I think at the end of the day, his heart's in the right place. I think he's a good dude. But sometimes he says some things and does some things that run contrary to that or make people believe that he's not what he is. I think he's a good guy. I do. But look, he is a little fickle, right? He is a guy that changes. He is a guy that thinks one way possibly or believes one way, changes his mind. I thought for sure his best opportunity to win the NBA title again was in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant. That was his best moment. That was his best chance outside of what he did with LeBron and them. Look, he left LeBron James in Cleveland, right? He wanted his own team. He wanted to be the guy, and he went to Boston. And that didn't work out. Didn't work out at all. And went to Brooklyn. That didn't work out. Didn't work out at all. But it sure worked out in Cleveland with LeBron. And I know he's kind of angling, LeBron really wanted him in Los Angeles, really wanted him with the Lakers. Didn't work out. Couldn't make the move. Couldn't come together on the deal. But so you look at Kyrie Irving and you're saying to yourself, like, look, outside of LeBron, he hasn't won, but the talent is still there. Still an elite scorer, still a walking bucket, still can get out of his bed and get 20, right? He just has that ability, still an elite scorer. And the Mavericks need elite scoring outside of Luka Doncic. They needed that. And like I said earlier, Luka Doncic's usage rate it's just crazy. There's no way he could have kept up with that usage rate and the Mavericks have the success they want to. Now they got another guy. We can say, well, Luka's ball dominant and Kyrie's ball dominant, but Kyrie has played with ball dominant players. LeBron James can be ball dominant at times. I'm selfish a lot of times, but it can be ball dominant. So Kyrie has played with champions, with champions and elite players and superstars in this league. So now it's Kyrie's chance and moment to change the narrative, if you will, right? His chance to say, you know what? I can win again because he has won. And the Cavaliers don't win in 2016 without Kyrie Irving. They don't win if Kyrie Irving doesn't hit that big three in that particular game, late in that game. They don't win, right? They don't win without the scoring ability of Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie is elite. He's an elite player. He's an elite scorer. He's elite. And so we'll see how that works. And the funny thing now is Durant and Kyrie were together, right? They were looking to win a chip together. And now they're in the Western Conference and they're battling. They're going to be battling against each other. So that should be fun. They're going to be battling. They came together as brothers and hopefully and wanting to win an NBA title. And then it didn't happen. Heck, they only won one series. So, I mean, it's like, wow. They only won one series together, so they weren't perfect together. It didn't work out. So we got the Lakers. Russell Westbrook is going to the Jazz, right? They get D'Angelo Russell back. They get Malik Beasley back, a few other players as well. 8-team deal, right? 3-team deal with the Jazz and the Lakers and the Timberwolves. And Russell Westbrook, the Brody, one of the best point guards of all time, a triple-double machine. Now, at this point in his career, Russell Westbrook is not Russell Westbrook. That's just the reality of the situation. He may not be a winning player. And that might be the reality of Russell. And you could argue maybe he never was a winning player. Like, it's crazy. You think about here's the crazy part. You think about how crazy it was that Irving and Harden and Durant only won one playoff series. It's kind of crazy that Westbrook and Durant and Harden and Ibaka and those guys only didn't win an NBA title, right? You thought for sure those boys, when they went to the NBA Finals in 2012, a lot of people thought they were going to beat LeBron in the Heat. But after that, you thought, okay, they lost there. We're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see them in the NBA Finals year in and year out, right? They're going to be a fixture in the NBA Finals. And you think about it, Harden, Durant, and Westbrook never won an NBA title. Never won. And then, Harden gets traded. Harden goes on, they trade to Houston. And then you look at Kevin Durant, and he stays there with Westbrook, and ultimately he leaves. He goes to Golden State, and Westbrook stays in OKC. Westbrook, becomes a triple-double machine, averaging triple-doubles year in and year out, and getting the Thunder to the playoffs. But again, you look at Russell Westbrook, and you got to say, is he a winning player, and has he ever been a winning player? It is, I think, a legitimate criticism when it comes to Russell Westbrook. Again, Russell Westbrook, one of my favorite players. Like, I love the way this guy plays. I love his energy. I love his heart. I love the dog that's in him, right? But at the end of the day, at this point, at this moment, at this time, you got to question if he's a winning player, right? If his skill set is a winning skill set, right? When he was traded from Houston to Washington with the Wizards, yeah, he averaged a triple-double that particular season. And he got the Wizards to the play-in tournament and ultimately to the playoffs where they lost in 5 to the Philadelphia 76ers. He did all that. But and wasn't winning at a high level. They weren't winning at a high level. And ultimately, the Lakers said, you know what? LeBron's like, okay, maybe we can bring him here. Rob Pelinka and those boys, let's bring him to Los Angeles, and maybe he's a guy we can team with LeBron and have success. And it just never came together. It was not a successful pairing. Just wasn't successful. Just didn't work. Just wasn't good enough. And Russell Westbrook ultimately came off the bench. And look, he needed to go. And getting a D'Angelo Russell is an upgrade for the Los Angeles Lakers. Getting D'Lo helps. D'Lo is back, right? He's back in LA. You remember he was gone in LA. Lonzo Ball came in, and ultimately D'Lo was gone eventually. But D'Lo is back in Los Angeles. An opportunity with the Lakers. The Lakers added some pieces in this deadline. Like I said, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba, D'Angelo Russell. So they're a team that is gunning for it, running for it, and going for it. But I look at the Lakers and I'm like, okay, yeah, if AD is healthy, that matters. That's important. Currently, the Lakers right now are, 2 games behind the Portland Trail Blazers for the 10th spot. So they're 2 games out of the playing tournament, the Lakers. And so they obviously want to do something and make a run because, look, they got LeBron. And how many years LeBron got left? Not many, 38 years old. So you got to do this now. And so the Lakers are poised to try to make a run at this point, at this moment, at this time. If Anthony Davis can stay healthy, that helps, right? That's always – here's the thing. And like, I don't want to go back, but 2020 – the bubble happened, COVID happens, world was shut down, basketball was played in a bubble, Walt Disney World, Orlando, Florida, and the Lakers, obviously they got some time off. Everybody got some time off before the bubble started, and Anthony Davis was healthy, and then Anthony Davis was able to get through and ultimately help the Lakers win a title. But if that doesn't happen, do you trust that Anthony Davis stays healthy enough to make that happen in 2020? Did you trust that? I don't trust Anthony Davis when it comes to health. I don't. An elite player when health is on his side, but apparently and often health has not been on the side of AD Anthony Davis. That's just the reality of the situation. Health has worked against him. Right? So, look, I don't think the Lakers are good enough to win an NBA title this year. I don't think the Lakers are good enough to make noise in the playoffs this year. But I will say this, I don't think I would want to see him because you still got LeBron, you still got AD, right? You still got, guys who are still very good players in this league, still upper echelon players in this league. But again, I don't think anybody's like super scared of the Lakers, the Lakers. I don't think anybody's like, you say the Lakers, I don't think people are shaking in their boots. But look, it's good for the NBA when LeBron's in the playoffs. Let's be clear. So, do I kind of hope that LeBron gets to the playoffs? Sure. I hope LeBron and the Lakers can get to the playoffs because it's good for the game. It's good for the game when LeBron James is in the playoffs. It's good for the game. It's good for the league. Ratings will tell you that. It's good for it. Right? It's good when LeBron's in the playoffs. So I'd like to see him get at least to the play-in tournament. Let's see what happens. Again, I don't think the Lakers are going to make a deep playoff run. Now, if they would have got their hands on Kyrie Irving, which I think obviously would have helped more, then things you could definitely change that narrative when it comes to the Lakers. They would have got themselves Kyrie Irving. I mean, Kyrie and LeBron won a chip together. Kyrie and LeBron played off each other very well in Cleveland. So that would have been a good situation if Kyrie could have gotten to the Lakers. I'm not saying it would have been a championship team, but it would give him a better shot, a better chance, and a better opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. I ain't saying they would have got there. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying it would have gave them an opportunity and a chance to get there. And so it didn't work out. Kyrie went to Dallas. And, obviously the Lakers didn't get their guy. And LeBron wanted him. And they didn't get him. It's that simple. And now the Lakers, again, I don't think the Lakers can win an NBA title this year. I think, 2020 was a very fortunate situation for them, right? COVID didn't work to a lot of people's benefit at all, clearly, right? But it worked to the Lakers' benefit that particular year. It worked for them. They worked for them. And I look, I want I want the Lakers to get into the play-in tournament. At least I want them to get there. I'm hoping that happens, and I'm hoping. But because you look at the Utah Jazz, right? Utah Jazz, right? Move Mike Conley. At this point, the Jazz, they're starting to fall back a little bit. Got off to an early good start for them, but they're going to fall. The Jazz are going to fall. The Thunder play tough basketball. They're a good young team, right? So they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough for the Lakers to overcome, but I think they eventually will. Portland could come back. I see Minnesota staying there, or I see Minnesota staying around 8. The Pels could move up once they get Zion back and get completely healthy. So that could happen. But the Lakers have a good shot to at least get 10. They do have a good shot to at least get 10, right? I mean, look, they should get 10. They should get 10 because, again, I think OKC is going to be tough. But I think ultimately the Lakers will supplant them. So I see 10 is possible. Portland could go down. Portland did acquire Matisse Thybulle. They traded Josh Hart to the Knicks, right? They did acquire Matisse Thybulle today and during the trade deadline. So we'll see what Thybulle does for the Portland Trailblazers. But again, right, we look at the Lakers, and this is a Laker team at this point, at this moment, at this time, that appears to be and have, enough talent to get to at least the play-in tournament. And then we'll see what happens. Right? Talking about your Cavaliers, no, they didn't, right? And look, credit to the Cavaliers for playing some good basketball right now. They are playing some good basketball right now. They beat the Pistons last night. 4-game winning streak for Cleveland, playing some good ball, getting the job done. Obviously they've beaten up on some teams that they're supposed to beat over the past 4 games, but things are looking different. Isaac Okoro is starting to blossom a little bit, just a little, right? They won a couple games on the road, which is good. I think Cleveland is a team, again, one of the 4 teams that I said has an opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. I'm not saying the Cavs are going to get to the NBA Finals, right? I think Boston, Milwaukee are better than them. Philly, I don't know if Philly's necessarily better than the Cavs, but I think, they have more experience than the Cavs. So, I'm going to say the top 3 teams, Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly, and then the Cavs are going to be a dangerous team in terms of getting to the NBA Finals. The Cavs at least win a round. They at least win a round. The Cavs at least win 1 round, I believe. I do think they get to the second round. But, I don't think the Cavs, in terms of a championship, are there just yet. But they're moving in that direction. They're moving in that direction. I think if you're a Cavs fan, you should be happy about the direction this team is going in. And you should be happy that, look, they can easily win a round in these playoffs, and they're probably going to win close to 50 games. They're probably going to win around 50 games this year, the Cavs, at this point, 35-22. They probably win, 25 games left, right? If they go 15-10 the rest of the way, they'll win 50 games. I think the Cavs, probably win 50 games this year, and that's great. If you're a Cavs fan, and 50 games probably at least gives you the 4th seed in the East, which gives you home court advantage, which gives you an opportunity to at least win 1 round. And again, if you get to the second round against the Boston Celtics, who probably will beat whoever they play and probably will end up as the number 1 seed, well, anything's possible. The Cavs have had success against the Boston Celtics this year, beat them in Boston early in the season, also beat them in Cleveland. So, look, hey, anything is possible. Anything is possible for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But again, you should be happy if you're a Cavs fan because you got a roster, you got a team that is talented, you got a young nucleus, you got character guys. I mean, I've always said about the Cavs, right? Like, they have young talent, but they have young talent with character, right? They have young talent with character. Like Darius Garland came in, got better, right? That character That is character, character, character. Jared Allen got big-time money, got better. That's character. Evan Mobley is progressing and growing. Character. So they got character guys in Cleveland. They got talented guys, guys who are character guys, and guys who get the job done. And the Cavaliers are in position to, I believe, make a run in the East. I'm not saying they're good enough to do it just yet, but think they're good enough to at least get to the second round and push a team in that second round. I think they are good enough for that. Guardians baseball, yes, it's coming. How about those Browns? No, maybe not about the Browns. But anyway, things are good in Cleveland if you're a Cavaliers fan. So, again, the Lakers, I think, 10th spot, LeBron James surpassed Kareem. He's the king. He's the king for real. He's always been the king, but he's the king for real when it comes to scoring. And again, a lot of people are saying at this point, at this moment, at this time, LeBron James is the GOAT. It's kind of hard for me. I struggle with that. I can't. I watch Jordan. I watch LeBron. And again, LeBron does things that Jordan didn't necessarily do. But man, Michael Jordan was something special. And again, but look, to play 20 years is special. And LeBron, like you look at Kobe near the end of Kobe, Kobe broke down at the end of his career. LeBron is not breaking down, right? I know he had some groin issues, past couple of years, but LeBron is not breaking down. This dude is still playing at an elite level at age 38, still high flying, still doing some amazing things. So LeBron is still a special talent, a special player. And for him to get the scoring record, because LeBron is not a natural scorer. He's not as natural of a scorer as Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a more natural scorer than LeBron James. LeBron James is a guy, he's unselfish, right? He's up there in terms of assists. Like the guy has done it all, right? We are witnesses to something special. And I never want to see LeBron James retire, right? I never want to see it. I didn't want to see Jordan retire in 98, in 98. I didn't want to see him retire. I didn't want to see him retire in 93. Right? I was happy when he came back with the Wizards, right? You never want to see greatness go away. And LeBron James is greatness, and you never want to see that greatness go away. Eventually, it's got to go away. It's life. It happens. Can't stay there forever, right? You can't stay there forever. And yes, LeBron will get 40. He will get 40 for sure. So we are all witnesses to history, and we should enjoy this history, right? We should enjoy this because, again, who is the next LeBron James? Like, there's not going to be, it might be a while before we have somebody that comes along with that level of talent, with that level of ability, right? That French kid, the 7'4" kid who's rocking the G League, he might be the next one that comes through and be the guy. And you wonder, will the next great player, the next dominant player, the next guy, the next head of this league, the next best player in this league, will he be a Euro? Will it be Luka Doncic? You could make an argument at some point, sometime, that he could be that dude, that guy who becomes the best player in the NBA. He could be that guy at some point, at some moment, at some time, right? He could be him. It could be him. So look, LeBron is special. And I think we should all enjoy LeBron James. We should enjoy what he has done. What LeBron James has done, again, we might not see it ever again. Definitely not going to see it for a long time. So enjoy it, relish it, all that. Like, just sit back and enjoy it. Take it all in. Because, there's a song out there, these are the times to remember because they will not last forever. These are the days to hold on to. So, look, you might not see this level of greatness again. So you better enjoy it. You better enjoy it. That's my warning to you. You might not see it again. You better enjoy it. And if somebody says LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, you can make an argument for sure. You most definitely can make an argument. You can make an argument that Kareem is the GOAT. You can most definitely make an argument. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, if LeBron is not the GOAT, he at least is going to be talked about by. He's going to be somebody's GOAT. He's a lot of people's GOAT. He's a lot of people's GOAT. So LeBron James, special player, special dude, did some special things, and now he is the king of scoring in the NBA. And we'll see what happens. I don't think, outside of him, going to a team and trying to find a championship along the way, I don't think with this collection of talent with the Lakers, he is going to do it. He's not going to win again. It's over. Maybe he comes back to Cleveland and be a veteran influence for the Cavs, right? LeBron, I say this: LeBron at 40. If LeBron at 40 comes to you and says, you know what, and he's still playing at a somewhat high level, if he comes to you and say, you know what, look, I'll come there, but you got to find a way to get Bronny, my son, and Bronny, we'll see what he's going to be. All right, maybe you take that chance. Look, for me personally, I would love to see LeBron James end his career in Cleveland. I think it's only right that he ends his career in Cleveland. I think it's only right that he does that. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if that does happen with the Lakers roster. They did get a little younger, right? And they did get a little better, but I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough. I would love to have seen them get Kyrie, and that would have changed the thing for me. And I don't know if that would have been good enough either, but it definitely, especially with the acquisition of Kevin Durant by the Phoenix Suns. So I don't know, but look, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and we'll see how that works out. Screw Cleveland, right? Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. The Cavs, right? Let them know. Cleveland Cavaliers. Won 4 straight, 4th in the East, moving up the standings. We'll see what happens with the Cavs. They're a fun team to watch, right? Donovan Mitchell is as advertised. He's the truth. He is as advertised. He's legit. He's big time, and he definitely has changed the narrative in Cleveland with the Cavaliers. So again, a lot of crazy things happening in the NBA right now as we come out of the trade deadline. Right, we got to say, you know what? The Phoenix Suns have made themselves a better team. We have to say the Phoenix Suns have put themselves in position to win an NBA title. That's what we have to say. We got to say that at this point, at this moment, at this time. The Phoenix Suns have put themselves in position to win an NBA title. The Lakers have gotten better, sure. The Bucks added Jay Crowder. They've gotten better, sure, right? Look, and so at the end of the day, the Mavericks, on paper, seemingly they got better with the addition of Kyrie Irving. Yes, right? And you talked about the Cavs Cavs fans when they burn LeBron's jersey, right? Can't forgive them. I don't know. Get over it. Nah. So look, you look at it, right? And at that time, but he ultimately came back. He redeemed himself, and he left on good terms. And ultimately, he left on good terms. So, everybody forgave everybody. He forgave the owner, Dan Gilbert. And, remember Dan Gilbert with that scathing letter when LeBron left Cleveland the first time. And then ultimately he came back. They fixed it. He won a chip. And he yelled out, Cleveland, this one's for you. And they got him an NBA title. So that's a great thing. That's an exciting thing. And you got to be happy for the king because he is the king for real, right? He is the king. And there's no denying that he is the king. He is the all-time leading scorer, right? Multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time champion, just an elite player and one of the greatest to have ever done it. Could you imagine? Right? Could you imagine how, look, he's just all the pressure was on that kid since he was in high school, right? All the way back to his days in Akron, right? The microscope was on LeBron James early, that Sports Illustrated cover, right? The microscope was on him early. And this dude, no scandals, no craziness. This dude has found a way to keep it steady, keep it going, keep it right, and keeping himself out of trouble, right? you're saying the Brooklyn Nets ruined their team when they trade by trying to trade for James Harden. You can argue that, right? Because at the time they had Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, right? Maybe they would have been better suited to look. I didn't think Jared Allen was as good as he was. Like Jared Allen, like I didn't think he was that good. And he's turned into a very, very good player. An all-star a year ago. Like, I didn't think Jared Allen was that good. So if you think about Jared Allen was on that roster, Karis LeVert was on that roster, right? And so, look, you're saying, well, maybe they should have stood pat and not tried to get that big three with James Harden. Probably in hindsight. Hindsight, you're probably right, because James Harden eventually wanted out. And, obviously, Kyrie did what Kyrie does and has done throughout the course of his career. Does some interesting things, right? But I do respect him. I do respect Kyrie Irving for many reasons. But, I mean, like, look, it's just James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets was supposed to be that final piece that was going to put them over the top. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't come close to happening. Well, it did kind of come close to happening because you think about it, Kevin Durant's foot was a couple inches behind that line. That's a different story you're talking about now. So, yeah, it could have happened. It could have happened, but it didn't happen. So, new Lakers squad is nasty. So, you're going to download it. 2K23. Maybe you should, right? We'll see how nasty they are, right? We could get a rematch of Bucks and Suns in the NBA Finals. We very well could. We very well could get that rematch. And I think this time the Suns would be better equipped. Look, the Suns should have won that year. They were 2-0 in the NBA Finals. You thought, okay, wow, the Suns are going to win this chip. They had everything. They looked like a championship caliber team that year. And they didn't get the job done. They couldn't put it away. They couldn't win those two. They lost the last 4 games. That was it. It was a wrap. They lost the last 4 games in that series. And like, you can't get that back. You can't get that time back. Like, wow. That was their year. That was their moment. That was their time. They surprised a lot of people that year, and they couldn't finish the job. That simple. But we're about to get up out of here again. Make sure you like, support, subscribe to the channel, like the video, do all that good stuff. And we'll be back here some moments and sometime. We're going to be back here after the Super Bowl. Eagles, Chiefs, we'll see what happens there. Super Bowl 57 out there in Arizona. I'm expecting the Eagles to get the job done. The Eagles Eagles are a complete team, and they're the best team in football on paper, and they've been the best team in football all year long. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. So anytime you roll out Patrick Mahomes, you got a chance, you got an opportunity to get the job done. But I think the Eagles are a complete football team. I think they have all the makings of a championship team, and we'll see what happens Super Bowl Sunday. But again, Kevin Durant is a Phoenix Sun. Wow, wow, wow. The Lakers have made some moves, but we'll see which team is going to be good enough to get the job done as we, get ready for the All-Star break and prepare for the second half of the NBA season. So like, subscribe, support the channel. Later.